Cool.
Let's see. Of course, I'm stuck on this tree. Hang on. Okay, so left trigger, right trigger, then there's O in a direction and it moves. Then there's U for spinning around.
Cool. Awesome.
For the spinning lunatic. It should laugh like Joker, like and then go.
Yeah. But yeah, the multiplayer's all messed up, huh? That's so weird.
No, it was fine. Here, I'll show you.
But the controllers, I mean, you were saying the controllers...
Well, it probably had to... I'll make sure they're all on before I go in. Okay, so all of them are on. Yeah, that was fun. Today I had like some pairing issue or whatever, and then just rebooting the console fixed it. So I like unpaired everything, rebooted the console, and then I was able to pair them. And I'm the master at pairing now. I've done it like 50 times today. You just hold down the power button on your controller when it's off, and you watch for 12 blinks of the top lights, and then let it go, and it goes in the pairing mode. Or you can count, but that seems to be the most reliable.
Right.
On a lot of these guys, like even the snowman scuffle, this is just something I drew as like a placeholder. I might replace it to say like, make your own icon, or whatever. And this one is the really old one. Means they don't have the new size. Beautiful. Yeah, see this guy right here should be Jason with the ski mask and a hatchet. And it makes it a whole different game.
Right.
Think of more Deliverance.
Yeah, need some banjo music in there.
Yeah, give you a guy a bow and arrow.
Hey, so have you gotten the name working? Like if you go on the name and you hit the O.
I have a hard time getting over there. There you go. Oh, nothing.
Nothing?
But all I have to do is call like input.keyboard or whatever, and it should pop it up. Something like that.
Right.
Is there a way to get your console name or anything? Like, doesn't your console have a profile?
Like, name your console?
Yeah. Or set up a profile for your console?
Right, so it just automatically grabs the name and stuff like that, you mean?
Right.
Oh, gotcha. All that stuff is coming. Like.
Oh, so it's not implemented in the master SDK yet.
Not that I know of. We'll start with that though.
So Tim, what I'm seeing now as far as the screen, is that what you're seeing like on your TV or whatever?
Yeah.
Is that the like 10% cut off and like
Actually,
I don't have it inside there? Or?
No, that's actually the OUYA capture device on my TV. It's perfect. Like it even says D-pad to toggle, O to select, although I'd put that inside because that's this here is like the overscan, worst possible whatever.
Oh, okay.
So always make sure that your important UI elements are inside what you see on this side.
Okay, gotcha.
There you go. And if I accidentally mouse in there, I can hit F10 to do that. And it goes back. There we go. Cool. Okay, so... Oh, I gotta hit it on the other controller. Okay, so controller 2. No. Controller 4. There we go. See how it says player 4? Like, Should say just 2 because I did 2-player.
Yeah, that's messed up. Because it should just set it like, like it does the detection and then it gives you the options 2 or 4 players. And then when you pick
and I did the 2
or 4 players, it should set it to that and then only give you those amount of options. But yeah,
See, now it's waiting for input from controller 3. See, look how smooth that is. That's like, oh, you'll see it in a second. It's just beautiful. That's just 2 cameras rendering like side by side.
Right. Yeah.
We should do an example like that in the SDK.
Well, I just load a different camera for each one, and I have an animated node basically, and then the camera has like a smooth follow that's looking at that node.
Okay.
And then I just do, when it gets to the player, then I do a jump to like a node that's on the player basically, and then it's just doing a smooth follow for that player's node kind of thing. And then when it gets to the end, it just jumps to like the finish camera node and then follows that animation around. So it's all the same camera, it's just tagging different nodes to follow as the game
different
goes through.
targets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Although if you want like completely smooth, like moving around and stuff, I probably would have just changed the parent so that it's parented to those objects, so you don't have to keep having like an interpolated like vector or lerping vector.
Right. Yeah, that's all it is. It's just a lerp that follows it. But then, with the lerp, as you turn and stuff, there's a bit of a delay as well. If it was parented, it would be harsher, I guess.
Right. Well, I mean, you only reparent when it's in the proper position.
Right.
And then I typically do a lerp with like a date time. So like I calculate like a button press and I do an action for like when the timestamp is, when it'll arrive at that destination. And then no matter like what the frame rate is, it'll like smoothly lerp based on time versus like adding little increments. And then you kind of get a smoother fall off. But then other times, like you use time and then you add to a float, and I don't know. I don't prefer doing it that way. Okay, so that's controller 1 working fine. Here's the other guy. Here's Jason. Hello, campers. Okay, and there we go. And it rolls. All the button presses are working. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna go back to Unity here. One of these using Unities. Yeah. Here we go. Okay, so there's some new stuff since the last week, I guess. I don't know if I showed this last week, but I added, at least on the Windows side for now, an open logcat button. So you can just click that, and it pops up a window so you can go right to the logcat and watch things happen, like errors and whatnot. And a while ago I added this run application button, so it'll just run your last build. All right, so here we go. So in the new Unity input example, I'm going to use joystick 1, and if it's live, oh, it got unlive. There we go. There should only be 3 seconds of lag. Okay, so now all the buttons work. And that's just with controller 1, and the input's going right through Unity, the Unity API with joystick 1, button 1 kind of notation. And one of my controllers turned off. So I'm turning on a controller, and you see over here the controller names. It detects all 4 of the OUYA controllers. And that's going through the Unity input. And in this example, I just tap the mouse pad to go to the next joystick. And now, with joystick 2, second in the list, so even though I moved the joystick 1, it's not moving the buttons or anything, so it's locked down to the right joystick now. So I'll tap it again, and I'll go to number 4. One of these guys, and it's locked down to a single joystick. Now the one thing that isn't working perfectly is the list of controllers. So if I'll hold down number 2 button. So let's say they're all in the correct order right now. As soon as your controller turns off, it should take it out of the list. Okay. So now it's NA. And then I turn it back on. So even though the LED is showing controller 2, it's actually going to be controller 4. So we'll have to figure out whatever that is. So it's like if you have 4 people playing Gauntlet or something and somebody disconnects, you just have to like play musical chairs with your controllers for now.
Right.
Other than that, it's working good. I suppose I do have a Xbox controller plugged in, so I could have it. Oh, actually, it's not. That's why it only shows 4. Going off the rails. If I test that. Okay. So what did I add? I added this menu appearing thing too. So if we look at our logcat, and if I hit the system button, you'll see in the log, the Unity receiver, broadcast receiver, saw the input action menu appearing event. And so we have a Java exception in there with the overlay menu. Well, that could explain why I haven't, seen it. That's not in our Unity code. That's in the framework. Here, let me just copy and paste this, and I'll put it in the engineering forum. That might explain a lot of things. That probably causes the crash. I don't know why I didn't see that before, but I see it now. See, I have this log statement. Broadcast receiver, tell Unity we see the menu appearing, and that's in the Unity application. And then I pass it to Unity, and then bam. Now, more about like, what does all this stuff mean, right? So I have an OUYA update. The latest is this guy, 102.2. And in 102.2, I made some changes to the examples. So like the show Unity input example. If you look at the top, it now has a new interface that it implements called the OUYA SDK iMenu appearing listener. And what that does is it forces you to implement a thing. Got an extra mouse button on my keyboard that moves me around. Here we go. So then there's a callback for OUYA menu appearing. And so you can trap this menu appearing event and do something about it. So if you want to just do something different or pause your game or whatever, when the menu appears, you can do that in here. And then just like the other listeners.
When you say menu, do you mean when you double tap the home button?
Just when you push it one time, you're supposed to get like a pause or a menu appearing event, and some menu pops up. We'll probably see what that is in the next update. There's another major release coming, like if not tomorrow, the next day or whatever, and it'll probably fix whatever this is.
Okay.
Okay, so it will call that if in your awake and destroy methods that you've added the register menu appearing listener, and that'll cause your OUYA menu appearing thing to be called. And really that's all you have to do. Just attach it to some script in your scene and you're good to go. If you want to see the Java that makes that happen, that's in the OUYA Unity application. And I've added a menu appearing receiver. It's a broadcast receiver that detects the menu appearing action or an intent. And then if Unity's on, then we send the message to the on menu appearing. That in turn calls the OUYA game object. There we go. It pops into on menu appearing. It loops through all the listeners that are registered, and it notifies them through their OUYA menu appearing interface that they've implemented. Now back in this guy, it's a menu appearing broadcast receiver, and in the on start event, I just register that receiver with the action menu appearing intent. And I got this from on this page. You guys all had to go through your new ADB setup instructions thing, right? To get ADB to connect to your OUYAs. And part of this page, it talks about how to set up your menu appearing event. There we go. So it has a couple different examples, whether you want to statically like add the intent filter to your menu, or I mean to your Android manifest, or if you want to implement a broadcast receiver to catch that intent, or dynamically you can register. And I took the dynamic approach, so you didn't have to modify your Android manifest. And then that lets you it lets you so you don't have to modify your manifest, and then it can just be specified in the application Java dynamically. And then there's actually a bug here. It's missing a open parens close parens on this broadcast receiver. All of these actually, that one too, and that one. Anyways, that was pretty easy to figure out. So, and then it registers, and then it logs an event, and then if you watch your logcat, you can see this action menu appearing broadcast event fire. And I assume in the next update, if I track down whatever that Java exception was, you should get some kind of pause menu appear.
So,
And then maybe we can overload it and change the layout. Go ahead.
I was going to say, so basically everything you're explaining right now, you're saying that you're basically detecting the difference between single tap and double tap?
Right. Yeah, so this is a single tap event when you hit the system button one time. If they double tap it, your application just exits.
Okay. So,
oh my gosh,
like,
I almost forgot to turn on Camtasia. Hang on a second.
Oh.
That's not good.
So in your code, you would probably put like probably this dynamic one, so you don't have to modify the manifest. Like you would put like that, and then put or input get button start. Like if you're plugging an Xbox controller into your OUYA.
Actually, the Xbox controllers fire the same event, so it wouldn't even matter. I can double check that though.
Hmm.
So basically, from a Unity perspective, you just add the listener, implement the event, and then you're going to get the callback. But let's just make sure. I'll plug in my Xbox controller here.
Okay, because I thought the way I've used the Xbox start button before is that it was, can't remember what number it was. Let's say 9. It was just button 9, and that's it.
Hmm.
It didn't have any like special properties or anything. It was just a regular button.
Right. Well, if I hit the start button on the Xbox controller, the app exits, so it goes to the home screen. So
interesting. What about the center button, like the Xbox button?
that's what I mean. The center Xbox button will exit to the home screen.
Oh, I thought you meant like the actual, like, I don't know if you guys can see my webcam, but like what am I? All right, so there's back, Xbox, and start. So you're saying the Xbox button is the one, or whatever, the home button is the one that exits out of the application?
Yeah.
Okay. And what happens when you exit out of the application? Will it erase, does it quit everything and erase everything?
Right. Your application is quit.
Okay. So we'll have to be like careful with not having the player accidentally double tap the home button.
Yeah.
I guess it sounds like if you accidentally did that, you would like lose your saved progress and stuff.
Right. I think my battery's bad in here. Okay, so yeah, I mean you're gonna get the pause event probably. So and this callback, you have a chance to save your game state really quick. So the next time they launch it, you can resume.
Okay. That's a good compromise. That actually shouldn't affect anything too much.
Hi everyone.
Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Kevin.
Can you guys hear me okay? Or...
You're pretty quiet.
Alright, I think it's just something in Windows 8.
Can you change the levels on your mic? When you right-click on the speaker in the bottom right-hand corner, and then go to Recording Devices, and then go to the properties of your mic?
That's what I'm gonna try.
All right, Kevin, I'm going to recover everything that I just did anyways because I forgot to turn on the capture.
How do I sound now?
About the same.
Damn it.
I mean, I can hear you. It's just quiet.
Okay.
Okay.
I think I might switch over to Windows 7.
You actually sound better now.
Oh, really?
You just moved closer or something?
No.
It just sounds better now.
Okay, good. How is everybody?
Good.
Doing good.
How are you?
Psh, not too bad. Same thing as last week, just different day.
Yeah. I got my input manager kind of working now.
Nice.
I'm really happy about that. So now you can like sign in your player with either theoretically any controller, but an Xbox controller or a mouse and keyboard. The only problem is that I have to like go in the inspector and I have to like uncheck and check variables right now because I don't have an actual like sign in process right now. But besides that, I think it's working.
That's what I was working on this week, was trying to get PHP to connect to MySQL to get all the login stuff done, and that went pretty terribly. So I'm still working on it.
Oh, you're doing a network login?
Yeah. So if you're on PC, then you'll be able to log in.
Oh, okay.
Another Whitewater update.
Does that mean you're gonna kind of make it always online DRM? Or is DRM the right term? But always online?
No. So you'll be able to have single player, and it's just kind of like if you click into multiplayer, then it asks you to sign in.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Okay, go ahead.
Here we have the controller example, and you can see I've got 4 OUYA controllers plugged in, and then my one USB Xbox controller. And it's detecting that independently. And if I go to the console log here, if I hit this Xbox button, there we go. It fired the on menu appearing broadcast receiver, and that popped it right into our. It fired our pause event, and then there's some Java exceptions that happen down here. But when it invokes this, when you see tell Unity that the menu is appearing, that calls the OUYA game object, and it calls your listeners that you've registered for the menu appearing event, which are here, now that we're recording. Okay, so everything starts with your main activity, right? Your OUYA Unity application. And your OUYA Unity application has an on-start event. And here we've registered a new intent filter for the action menu appearing intent. So when that fires, it hits our broadcast receiver. Which is here. Okay, so then it says, okay, what kind of intent did we get? Oh, we got a menu appearing intent. And if that's detected, if Unity is enabled, we pass the on menu appearing, or call the on menu appearing method on the OUYA game object, and that passes it into the OUYA game object right here. And then all the listeners that have been registered get notified, and it calls OUYA menu appearing. And then if we look at any of the examples here, like OUYA show Unity input, all you need to do is add iMenu appearing listener interface to your class, and in your awake method, register the menu appearing listener and unregister on destroy, and then that will cause the OUYA menu appearing event to fire. And right here, I just have it like debug print the name of the function that we're in. But here is where you could do save your game state, or pause, or set your time to slow mode, or however you want to handle it, or like mute your music maybe. And I've added the same thing for the other examples. And in C# you can have as many interfaces as you want on your class. So we've got listeners for the pause listener, resume listener, and the purchase stuff and the menu pairing listener. And then they all just register on Awake and unregister on Destroy. All right, so I also, so this is the (1.0.2.2) update. So in Android SDK, there's a new open logcat button, which will open the logcat for you. So you can see your logcat for when you're debugging stuff. Also, I updated the NDK tab, so now you can browse to the, on Windows, the latest version of NDK, the R8E. So if you notice anything's grayed out in this tab, it means you're running the old stuff. And then, on the OUYA tab, I upgraded the OUYA SDK library file, the jar, to go to the 102 update. That's why my version is 102, to kind of be one-to-one with those. And then the fourth number is my internal or minor revisions. Okay, and I hadn't checked, but let's just double check the IAP sample activity. Make sure nothing has changed. So in my downloads for OUYA, so there was 101, it's the last update. If we go into the samples, IAP sample activity, which is what we're based on, source, TV, OUYA, sample, you'll find the IAP in-app purchase sample activity. So I'll select that for comparison. Then I'll go to the new version. Compare that one. And if they're identical, that means we don't have to change anything. Open. And apparently this means they're the same. Same. So that's good news. Have you guys looked at the sample stuff you get with the ODK before? Now that you guys all have your in-app purchases working?
I haven't gotten to that part yet.
Nor have I. I've been working on the PC build and then switching over. Which I'm not sure if that's a good idea, but whatever.
Yeah. It has 3 examples. So there's a game sample, the in-app purchase example, and a OUYA controller example. Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, we've got the in-app purchases and controllers working pretty good. But if you want to get any information, like you asked about profiles earlier, if you want to see if profiles has appeared yet in the major releases, just check out the controller app and
wait, the OUYA is going to have profiles?
Yeah, like...
eventually.
Oh.
Do you not use your online profile?
Well, I mean, think about like Xbox, right? Where every controller is signed in as a different person, kind of thing.
Yeah, I got you.
You figure eventually that's going to happen. Like,
How's it going to happen if you're using controllers other than the OUYA controllers, though?
Same thing, right? It detects a controller, and then you get a menu appearing event or some kind of intent, and then you have to log in. I mean, the same way we map Xbox controllers to the Unity controls. You're just going to have some kind of overlay that has some sort of login where you pick which user, type your password, whatever, and you're logged in as that user.
I wonder, what about mouse and keyboard control games, though? I mean, I was planning on supporting mouse and keyboard for my OUYA game.
Right. I haven't seen a two-player mouse and keyboard game before. I guess unless they share a keyboard. But
Well, no, I would have it so that one player has the option of using mouse and keyboard, and all the other players would be forced to use controllers.
right. I think even to launch that game, you'd have to have at least one controller signed in. So you'd just be running as the signed-in player or something, right?
Hmm. Okay.
It's up to how you design it too.
Yeah. I guess I would also, once I just actually get my hands on an OUYA and just test everything out, I'll just figure out those little things.
Yep. Speaking of that, let's see.
Oh yeah, I can't remember, has anybody been able to synchronize a wireless Xbox 360 controller with OUYA?
Yeah,
or is
it
it
works
just
fine.
the wired?
You just plug in the wireless receiver, and it detects just fine.
Oh. You mean the playing
Yeah.
charge kit? Is that what they call it?
No, it's
I
just
thought
the wireless Xbox controller for Windows. They'll
Yeah, I
come with
thought it was
USB
Bluetooth.
receivers.
I thought it was Bluetooth, but it turns out it's actually you need to buy a wireless receiver with it.
Right,
Oh, because they're
they
not
have
Bluetooth?
proprietary.
Yeah, it's not Bluetooth. It uses some proprietary connection.
Oh, okay.
I know, it sucks.
We'll figure it out.
Yeah, but I was seeing like there's a lot of like OUYA consoles on eBay. I was like, some of these are like,
Pretty well priced. Only $50 more. Well, aside that one.
yeah. But like, yeah, it's almost worth having another one. I'm gonna get my backer one eventually, like sometime
Yeah,
over the next
apparently-
week or two.
Those shipped out, but like nobody's gotten an email yet.
Are the backer ones the only ones that have the names engraved in the side?
Yeah.
Oh,
It
I want a notch on the side of my OUYA.
So has anybody actually seen the one of the backer ones that actually has the username etched into it? Because I
I've
haven't.
seen videos.
Yeah, I'd have to ask Marco because he was at the lunch party, so he's probably seen them.
Okay. Yeah, because I know they all say OUYA and whatever, and the like the backers that put in 10K or whatever on the box, but I haven't seen anybody with a controller that actually had their username in it or on it, I guess.
It's on the OUYA, not the controller.
Yeah,
Oh, I
on
thought it
the
was
cube
gonna be
itself.
the controller. Oh, okay.
That would have been kind of cool if it was on the controller.
Yeah.
Aren't the plates on the controllers brushed aluminum?
I'll let you know when I see one.
No, I believe they're plastic, made to look like brushed aluminum.
Okay, that's probably a better option.
Oh, where's Rupert?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering.
Oh no! I can't get my snowman fixed this week.
Oh no, you can. I gotta sleeve this thing. Here, hold on.
Oh, is it the one that you
First of
posted
all,
on
we
Google
got a
Plus?
whitewater update here. I need to install that.
Is it the
Oh,
one that
it's-
he sent to us on Google Plus?
I think so.
Oh, so I already have it.
I don't know. No, the one I put a link to there, Tim, was actually the one you already have installed.
Oh, okay.
But
Tim,
Yeah,
here's
the link's not
here's
good
another
anymore.
link.
Tim,
Yeah,
you
here's another
officially
link.
made me hate JavaScript.
You don't like JavaScript anymore?
Oh God, buddy, I hate it.
That's good.
Right now that I've been using C# more, I don't hate JavaScript, but I hate the fact that MonoDevelop doesn't autofill like nicely the way JavaScript does. I mean, the way that C# does.
That's why
All
I use
right.
Visual
I
Studio.
have the solution for that
Oh.
one actually. So I've been on a few projects that had to use JavaScript, and well, I guess I'll have to go to the asset store. It's not in here, but if you need IntelliSense with JavaScript, I would suggest you go with the UnIDE package because it works perfectly.
Use Visual Studio. It's the bomb.
No, even Visual Studio doesn't have support for ActionScript, which is kind of the format.
Visual Studio.
Yeah, okay, I'll give you a little. This is awful. I'll give you a little tutorial on JavaScript. Okay, so there's traditional
Okay, so-
JavaScript, right? So like function, test, whatever, that looks fine. And if you're doing like HTML5 or whatever, var blah equals, that's fine. Visual Studio supports that, right? But Visual Studio does not auto-format and support Unity's ActionScript syntax, which is like strongly typing your JavaScript.
I thought you guys were talking about C#. I was like, oh no. Visual Studio sucks for JavaScript.
But you can do this in, you have IntelliSense with this thing called UnIDE. Okay, this is like best tool ever. Like for being, it actually adds mono-develop kind of like inside of the Unity editor.
I have this. Yeah.
And you have IntelliSense and stuff. So I mean, I had like a big project in it. Mono-develop was no way keeping up with my IntelliSense, and this was. Especially with like singletons and statics and.
Speaking of JavaScript, that's what I'm coding mine in, but I'm trying to do your like awake function, destroy, and the menu and on pause and on resume.
Okay.
And I'm doing up the listener, and you have OUYA SDK dot register menu appearing listener and brackets this. It doesn't initially pull any errors, but when I start it, it says that it says cannot cast from source type to destination type.
Okay, so how would we rewrite this? This is awful. How would I rewrite this in JavaScript? Okay, so here we go. Oh my god.
So do I have to like, well, I mean, I can rewrite it, but I mean, I just don't understand what the error is, I guess. Is it just because it's going from JavaScript to C#? And trying to go back and it can't find it?
Okay, so JavaScript 101 in Unity, right? C# are used to defining your classes and whatnot. If I wanted to rewrite this class as a JavaScript script, you don't even have to specify the class. You just go right into var blah int is 20, and just that by itself would be a valid JavaScript file in Unity.
Right.
I really don't like doing that, or if I do that, then I put a comment at the top that says this file JavaScript, so I know what I'm in. But even that I don't like, so I do this. I do public class, my class, and then extends mono behavior. So then at least it looks somewhat like the C# that I'm used to, and then you have more of a class structure. And this is still ActionScript compliant, and the UnIDE stuff works with this stuff just fine. And then you can do all the stuff like function test can go right in there. And then you run into situations like you're running into now. Oh, that's awesome. I didn't move it over. Okay, so there's that, but then what if you wanted to do like you're in your function and you wanted to like format something like message. Okay, so you start doing this and you're like, huh, it doesn't know what a string is. Okay, well that's because string has to be capital in JavaScript. Okay, that's cool. And then it's still, you can get the nice formatting things. So that works, but for that to work, I think you have to add the import system to the top. And then
Right. But how can I register the listeners is the question.
okay, so
Not to jump ahead, but
yeah. So I think I would do this. I would take the. You might have to do like OUYA import OUYA SDK maybe, like that. Have you had to do that already?
no, I haven't done that.
Okay, it might be since it's in a global namespace, you might not have to.
Yeah, it usually
but-
finds the OUYA SDK, but it's just yeah.
You probably also have to move the listener definition for the interface to your plugins folder, which would make it kind of okay. So then public class.
Yeah, I
okay.
have the OUYA. The OUYA SDK is moved into my plugins folder.
Okay, and then you do extends, and then I menu appearing listener. Now, do you guys know if it's comma extends or just comma? Any idea there?
Don't know.
It's probably a comma.
Okay. And then you probably need the OUYA menu appearing. And you have
So
that.
I just have to wrap everything into this like public class thing and put extends on it.
Probably, yeah. Otherwise, it wouldn't. Yeah, that's probably exactly your problem, because it has to be able to cast it from this to the interface, and if
Okay.
it doesn't extend that interface, does JavaScript support interfaces? I don't know. I think so. It's either that or you just make a proxy class in C# and then you just call that from JavaScript. Okay, and then it would have the same function awake.
I'm having too much fun making this game. Way too much fun. Just do like random stuff. Just see what happens. Yeah, I wonder what would happen if I touch this. There we go.
I would have to guess that would work. If you have to write JavaScript, write it like that. Oh, and I mean exactly like I wrote it. Like, here's stuff that I hate about JavaScript. Here we go. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's so wrong. Like,
Who does that?
I hate doing that.
like MonoDevelop, well, even Visual Studio will auto-format it like that.
Oh, not mine, Visual Studio. Mine's just like a boss. It doesn't do that at all.
Yeah. So, here's some more formatting tips here. And then for your case statements, I always do a space after the if, like that. Versus like no space. I've gotten the habit of doing that.
Yeah.
And There you go. That's how I like to format stuff. I'm going to write it like a JavaScript reformatter and a C# reformatter for world domination and to force people to do exactly like this.
I just heard Navi.
Yeah, that's my ringtone when I get a text.
I was wondering what that was.
It's got to be the most obnoxious ringtone ever.
I'm used to it. It's like I'm playing Zelda all the time. I've seen people do, like, for phone calls, they do, like, the Metal Gear Solid, like, ring, ring.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah. The original Metal Gear.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's go back to the Unity thing. And a while back I had added a thing that checked for updates, and it will hopefully just pop up a browser on the update page. So that's good. I moved the download up here to be like the first thing. And then there's a handy link right here to go to the changelog. There we go. For those watching the broadcast. Okay, so you go to the changelog. And yeah, have you guys been watching this section? Like every time there's an update, I've been like documenting what it is.
Nope.
Okay, well in the changelog section, you can see what changes have happened. And then when I did version 11, I added the sample interfaces for, it's a good place to start anytime you do a game logic thing, whatever. These are all the listeners and events to register and the callbacks. Marvelous.
I keep on trying to mute my mic so that I can... Yeah, anyways.
I've got notifications for my email accounts where I did custom WAV files of me, like, so like I'll be in the middle of a video or something, and you'll hear in the background, Gmail or Tag Enigma. Or I had like a secret email account that I can, like, it had one of those code names, you know, you get on a project that has a code name where nobody can say it's the project that must not be named. So like I'd get an email on that project and it would go, sick! And we'd be like, what was that? Okay, so what else did I add this week? Oh, let's go over the input example stuff. Okay, so last week we added the show Unity input example, right? And this was the thing that enables you to do the Unity style input. So if you look at Unity, and you click on your OUYA game object, you'll notice that in this example it's got use legacy input, and that's turned off. And that's what it takes to get the Unity input going. Otherwise, by default, with it checked, it'll do the old backwards compatible way. With it unchecked, then you can just use the Unity API input dot get whatever, and the input's going through Unity. Let's see, one more thing. If we look at the project input settings, so it works by name. So joystick 1, access 1, 6, 1 through 8. Oh, there's 5 there. Well, I should add 8. I think I mentioned that last time I looked at this. Anyways, when you're calling input.get button down, get button up, whatever, it's by string, and these are the strings that you would use. And so in the example, alright, in the example I've added a similar interface to what we've been doing. So get button, so you can specify the player and then the joystick number or whatever, and it actually converts that to a string in the same example. And deep down, when it finally resolves what the name is, it's actually calling the Unity API input.getKey, and it maps those different things to strings to get the key. Although the same thing would also work if you wanted to call input.get button and specify the full string for these same key codes. So if you look at the Unity key codes, this is something that we figured out with yesterday. So these first few
Now we got the TARDIS going.
Yeah. Hello, Doctor. Okay, so these first joystick buttons that they don't have a number here, that basically will catch all joysticks. So if you have a game where maybe you have cooperative play, where all the joysticks are contributing to the player. So let's say like every person is designated like an action button, and they have to push it like 200 times a minute or something. You could like do one of those type of games. Anyways, you could use this so that even if you press controller 1 through 8, you can detect that input. This is basically your any joystick enums. And then joystick 1 button just maps to controller 1, and then controller 2, 3, 4, and so on. And then I've added enums for the other ones, because with X input in the Unity editor, it only supports up to 4 controllers, and then once you get on the OUYA, you can do all 8. So I have a mapping here somewhere. Here we go.
I will be right back.
So here we can get access. So it's calling input.get access, and it just passes the player enum when it's getting the access. Or the player, I convert the enum to a number. And that guy is a player. And since these players are numbered, it just, when you cast it to an int, you get these numbers back. They map to the input setting numbers that we did. And so, yeah, so that's how it all works. Unity input mapped to specific controllers. Pretty straightforward, I guess. So what else did I do last week? Oh yeah, there was this, I added a remote inspector thing. Do you guys see that thing? Maybe.
Is it just me or is the screen really out of focus?
When I'm capturing in Camtasia, so when I repost the video, it'll be in 1080p, so you'll be able to read it.
Cool.
Otherwise, you have to suffer.
So I got the awaken, destroy, and pause and resume working now.
Okay.
I just did, that extends mono behavior, but I didn't have to add the iMenu appearing listener or anything like that to it. Just extends mono behavior, and then it worked.
Really?
But I guess in the editor, how can I test that? Like I have a Xbox 360 USB connected controller.
Right. Wait. I guess you can't because that depends on a Java event, and unless you want to simulate the Java event.
Okay, gotcha. So I'll just send it to you, and then you can test and tell me if it works.
Yeah, I can show you guys how that stuff works, though. Has anybody ever done a custom inspector?
Yep, making one
Okay.
now.
Okay. You could add a custom inspector for the OUYA game object that has like a fake menu appearing button, right? And that could call the event that said, okay, here it goes, and then you would see if it hit your callback or not.
Okay.
Actually, you could even add just a custom script to the OUYA game object that does a send message that invokes the on menu appearing function, and then that would call your listener callback. If it's hooked up right. I'm guessing that unless you specify the interface, I don't see how it could possibly work. Because it wouldn't be. But then again, JavaScript, at least when you deal with it in the DOM, like it treats all the functions as objects on the class. And since a function with that name exists on the class, it might just call it. So, it'd be interesting to see if it works.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
So anyways, when you guys publish your games to the OUYA, how long does it usually take to build your APK?
I don't have an OUYA.
Right. Well, I mean, when you publish to the Nexus or whatever, like for me, generally, it could take like 10 minutes per publish or whatever, and then you're like, oh, dang it, on this one object or whatever, I forgot to turn this one thing on or whatever, right? So it's like I got tired of doing that so many times, so I made like a remote Unity inspector. So even though your game is running on the OUYA or your Android device, you can just connect to it, and then you send it a request. You say, okay, give me your scene, and then it responds back with, okay, here's all the scene objects, and then I can say, okay, on the scene object, whatever in the hierarchy, with the object instance ID of give me all the components that are attached. So it'll go, okay, and so even for active and inactive objects, it'll say, okay. And then it sends the different components that are attached back to the host. And then when I get that, then I say, okay, I got this component, now send me all the all the fields, properties, and methods that are associated with that. And then I can remotely like change those fields or invoke methods or activate and deactivate things. And then while that's going on, I can I just watch the FPS counter, and then I can tweak different things. I also have like a material editor thing, so I can tweak with colors and shader params while in real time. So like I just tweak it and I can see it change the colors on the OUYA while it's running without having to republish.
Did you put that on the ODK, or are you including
no.
it in the package?
It's actually just a download on the same page.
Oh, okay.
Nah, I'm gonna try and sell it for like $15 or something.
I'd still buy it. It sounds really useful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I should export the package right now. So
Hey,
I can show you what it looks like. Yeah. So I've got this really cool setup that I've thought up, and basically, like eventually you're going to work on something where you don't want to share the code, right? You're like, this is too awesome.
Yes.
And so you're going to have some DLLs that are for Unity, and then some DLLs that are for editor scripts. Because editor scripts have to go in an editor folder, right? So that they work. Anyway, so I've set up this, I called it Scene Explorer. And so I can generate a DLL full, which is completely unlocked, which I only send to special people that don't have to pay for it, right? And then I have this eval version, which has like a licensing mechanism, so that you guys can download it, try it, and I post like, let's see, it's here. Okay, so then I can post it here, and then if people pirate that link or whatever, it doesn't matter because it's only going to work as long as they use the key or whatever. And then I just submit new keys as people ask for it. So yeah, there's the download of it right there. I'm going to update it right now so it has the latest stuff. So yeah, I have these projects set up, and then if I go to my output tab.
Awesome. No, sorry, I just got something to work. If you guys were listening to me, I was like, oh, awesome.
Anyways, when I build this, it puts the stuff in the right place, and then I can just open up the eval project and build an eval, which is essentially just exporting. There we go.
Pretty sure I'm jinxing
Oh,
myself.
I also included preview control in there, so that's kind of cool. Oh, and I wrote some documentation in the form of a PDF. It's got pictures.
Ooh.
I had been submitting README like text files, and somebody posted a comment on my package like, "This thing doesn't have any documentation." I'm like, "What do you mean? It's the text is right there."
Man, I love when a project goes so smooth. You're making a game and it's just going so smooth, and you're like, yeah. Then it comes to bite you in the ass.
Let's see. So it's kind of cool. Like Unity has fixed a bunch of bugs with its DLL importer. So even though it imports a DLL, it has this like. So this eval DLL is a DLL, but it shows you like the objects that are inside that DLL, which is pretty cool. So this thing works by when you publish on your device, you just have a scene. So you're gonna have some scene that has really bad performance, and you're like, why am I getting bad performance, right? And then you just add a client, and to add the client, it's just a component, scene explorer, add client, and then you just for host, so that your OUYA can talk back to your back to the host. You type in the IP address of your machine name and port. So to get that, you can just type like ipconfig renew or whatever, or no, just ipconfig, and it'll tell you what your IP address. And you put it in there, and then that's it. Everything else is you don't have to touch any of your other objects. So here we go. All right, I'll upload that really quick.
So Tim, for the keyboard thing, right? You don't do the same as you would do for like Android or iPhone, right? You don't call the touchscreen keyboard open. I guess you wouldn't because it's not a touchscreen.
Well, there's the keyboard one, right? I try to just invoke that one and see what happens.
Well, right now I have it. I have it saying like if OUYA, but does that even work? You know, like
Yeah, you can
hash if OUYA.
Well, because it's the OUYA console, right? If you look at the device, yeah.
So you got to say if OUYA.
I don't know what the specific device name is, but that's something you can see in your logcat, or even just add a log statement to print the device name.
OUYA.
Right. Or you can just say if Unity Android is false.
Right. Well, everything is just Android, right? So you have to do it at runtime with the device name check. Okay, so I updated the eval. So if you download that, you can do cool things like, here we go. I figure this can lead into more performance things that we'll do, like now that pretty much everything just works good, we can focus on like the cool features.
Good news, guys. Google Plus has 34% of logins.
Oh, you're looking at the mobile stuff?
Yeah.
Mobile
Facebook's
stats.
still leading with 46. How is Yahoo beating Twitter?
Lies.
Yahoo has 7%, Twitter has 6%. Unity just posted something on Google Plus too. Mobile hardware statistics. I guess it's something for optimization.
Oh. You know, it'd be cool if like this defaulted to the project folder. I don't know why it ended up in Strangeville.
Now I'm working on projectiles to make sure that projectiles shoot.
Oh, it's on WebPlayer. Why is it on WebPlayer? Jeez.
Who even builds web player games now? Let's get serious.
I did.
I have 2 web player games I need to upload.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not like trying to turn a profit on them or anything. Just side projects.
Building up that portfolio.
Kind
Well,
of.
yeah. Look at the blog post about Facebook, right? How Unity and Facebook, they're gonna have the player on there. So if you
Yeah.
want to make like your next Chefville clone, you're
That'll
gonna
be
be
good.
using web player.
That'll be good. Huh.
But it's Canadian, right? So it'll be like maple syrupville.
Wait, has anybody tried this on Mosaic? Oh, make fun of Canadians. Go ahead, guys. Go ahead.
There's
Yeah,
nothing
it's
wrong
fine.
with maple syrup.
There is nothing wrong with maple syrup, alright?
Who said there
Actually,
was?
Does the Canadian syrup, maple syrup, does it have high fructose corn syrup like we have here in
I
the
don't
States?
know.
Or is it
No.
like
That
authentic?
shit's El Natural.
Yeah, you have to ship me a bottle.
Yeah, see, there's maple syrup and then there's corn syrup, and in the States, your syrup is corn syrup.
Ooh.
Well, most of the time, I guess.
Have you guys heard of Babbel yet by Google?
No, what's that?
It's leaked right now. It's not confirmed yet. It's basically Google's trying to make an all-in-one unified messaging system. So it'll take care of all your text messages, your Google Talks, your Google Messenger, like everything all into one, and it's called Babbel. And now there's screenshots of the web interface just got leaked.
Oh,
That sounds
Al-
good
allegedly
as long as it works like they say. Like Google Plus is fuzzy all the time.
right. Well, that's because
You-
it's 480p. Yeah.
It was giving me like 720p earlier, and then I just switched to like 480p and won't let me back.
Whenever I like go on with my cousins or something to do like some PC gaming, we just all we go on a Hangout and just turn it all down to audio only on our bandwidth settings. It's awesome.
Yeah, that would be good for voice. The voice seems to come through just fine,
The
so.
voice is amazing if you switch it to audio only.
It's good to know.
I found a bug in Unity 357. This is the second time I saw it. It's in Web Player, when I hit publish, it shows this build setting thing in the file menu, and it doesn't go away. Even when I close Unity and I kill all the Unities, it's stuck there. And the last time I saw it appear is when I built and ran with the Web Player. And it's back, so that's going to be there the rest of this thing. Okay, but anyways, this is Scene Explorer, and your host, you don't need anything in the scene. You don't even need the source code. As long as I specify the when I publish to the OUYA, as long as I specify the IP address of this host machine, it will connect to it. So you see, the OUYA thinks that the machine name is called localhost. And do you guys know if you can rename your OUYA, or if it's always just going to be localhost? Because that would be kind of cool. Anyways, you click on the client. I can just say request scene, and then bam, I've got the remote scene. And okay, so there's some spheres. I can just turn them off, and it happens right away for me locally. But this has got like 3 seconds of lag. So then it recursively just turns off all the scenes in there, and then. So let's say you want to see some more stuff about like this sphere. So you see that here's the components of the sphere, and it has a mesh renderer on it. So that's kind of cool. But what if you want to do something cooler, like, oh, it's got some materials associated with it, and this material is using the diffuse shader, and I could have it switch to a different shader here when I finish that part. I can also reflect on all the shader properties, so I can get the colors, the textures, the shader params, the ranges, all that kind of stuff I can reflect on, and it would look just like a regular material inspector.
Sweet.
I tested this on the OUYA, works fine. It also works on the iPad, so it works from an editor to an editor, an editor to a standalone, Mac, Windows, all the platforms.
So you're going to
Okay.
make it so that you can change things in the running game and apply it to your Unity scene?
Right. So
Yeah,
basically, this is all real time. So, like, oh, I'm having a hard time getting to that spot. So I'm just going to change this to position X, whatever, and then bam. And it would, like, move the thing. So it's just like you're working in the inspector, except for you're not. And it's super lightweight.
Yeah, you could definitely sell this in the asset store. This is a really cool tool.
And then you can turn off individual components. Let's see. Yep. Okay, it works. It's the sphere on the right over there.
So this would work with like scripts and stuff. You could turn off scripts.
Yep. Okay, so I don't think I have any custom scripts in here, but oh, maybe the FPS guy. So, and it reflects on all the. So check this out. So I added support for arrays and transform references and.
Oops.
Okay, well I don't have any fields here, but yeah, it reflects on all your public fields and properties. And I can just deactivate the script on that component and it stops updating.
I think it'd be possible to have, like, so if you want to test a certain level or get your character to a certain level within your game, just for testing and stuff, do you think it would be possible to create a script that then you referenced through this editor thing? So when you're running it on your device, you can say, okay, I'm going to run this script, which basically will just set everything to jump you to level 20. You know what I mean? So you could you could trigger scripts inside your game that would only be triggered through this editor thing. Just to
I can do that just as easy. Like, okay, so you see fields, and so this tells me I detected one public field and 23 properties. I can also reflect and detect the methods, and you can invoke the methods. So if I knew I had a public script on this Scene Explorer script, I could just invoke that method, and I can reflect on the parameters for that method, and I can tweak them in another box or whatever, and invoke. I could probably even say, okay, add some like static methods for application load level, and then just type in the level name and bam, and it would go there.
Cool. I suppose also you could just include in your scene objects that just have scripts that are just turned off, and so when they're running, you can just turn those scripts on, which will activate specific things, without you doing anything in the editor kind of thing,
Yeah. And this is all non-destructive too, so I can just like exit and then go back in, and everything's reset to the default state without changing my scene. Kind of like how you can do that in play mode already in the editor, except for it's on a remote device.
Very cool.
I thought about I might add a history too, so like, oh, I didn't mean to uncheck that one. Like, oh, I turned off too much. Like, undo my last operation.
That'd be handy.
Yeah.
Anyways, you can do all this stuff now with that eval link I posted. The only difference is you just get at the very top, type in a key, and that key is on the page. So, and then that I'll unlock it until for like a week or something.
Grr, the script is starting to make me angry.
So,
Hey, Tim.
you were talking about... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, no, let's get you first.
I was just going to... there was some discussion about shadows or something, real-time shadows, and somebody was using kind of like a fake shadow generator. Yeah, on mobile.
It's funny, I have that thing open right now. Here we go. I was about to post like, oh yeah, you can just run it and then tweak the the same shader, I would go to like
Right.
Wait, what did I
figure out
miss?
what
What
scene it
shaders?
is. Okay, so you
Yeah, I
would
was
go
just
to like
wondering if you
okay,
had tested it out, kind of thing, and if it ran, how much of a lag does it put on the game, kind of thing.
right. So in that case, right, so that's the whole point, is you're gonna have like my super laggy shader,
Mm-hmm.
and you could switch that to a mobile shader, and you can see, oh, holy cow, I just saved 20 frames a second.
Right.
So you can identify certain things. I also thought maybe like it could automatically turn things on and off in the scene, and then you get like a frames per second counter next to every element in your scene here, and it could tell you like how many frames per second, like be like 1 be like, oh, it's that
Right.
guy.
That would be
Yeah,
insanely useful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Good idea, Tim.
Yeah.
Now implement it.
It's really
Have you guys
pretty
also
close.
seen the like depth of field thing for mobile somebody had made? Did you guys read anything about that?
I haven't seen it. Do you have a link?
No.
I think it was specifically like in the Unity forums, but yeah, I thought for sure I had saved a link. Let me look.
Yeah, I can see depth of field being something that would be really nice to have on OUYA.
Mm-hmm.
It seems like it's just a blur shader, right? Or a screen effect, and we know screen effects are really bad on Android performance.
Yeah, this was kind of like it was an effect, but through a shader and through like the alpha channel or something like that. And suppose they have it working on an iPhone right now. Yeah, well, I'm gonna copy the link here.
Right. Because you
Send it over
just
to you.
in a shader, you would just do a texture sampler, right? And then using an alpha mask, you could be like, that's the amount of blur you apply,
Mm-hmm.
and then you can use a secondary texture sampler to say what direction you move the pixels, and so you can kind of fake it.
Right. So that's the actual package, and then this is the link to their website, kind of thing, that they have it showcased, I guess. It has like motion blur for their character and bloom and depth of field, and they released it for free, I guess.
Wow.
It's kind of
Oh,
like
cool.
Jimmy rigged kind of thing, but yeah, I'm gonna try to look into it for my game, see how much it kills it.
This guy would be perfect for a Jurassic Park remake.
Tim, do you have any inside information on the OUYA store? I can't remember if I've asked you that before.
Not really, other than to say, like, if you don't implement your menu appearing thing, like, it might get rejected. And if you don't, if you have controller lag, it might get rejected.
Oh, okay.
If you have bad performance, you'll get rejected.
Oh, okay. So now there's starting to be like an official like reasons for games to be rejected.
Oh, yeah, they tell you, XYZ, fix that.
Oh, okay.
Right.
But there's
They
no
go into
like
the already posted games.
there's nothing like how like with the iOS store, if you want to put your game on the iOS store, you can't have anything that has to do with politics, religion, or sexuality or something like that.
So basically, all your characters are its, right?
Yeah, that's the iOS store for you. I would hate that so much if I made it. Like, I heard about people that this happened to, where they worked really hard making an iOS game, and then Apple randomly decided to put in this rule, and then like just out of nowhere for no reason their game gets pulled off the shelves. for no technical reason, no quality reason. Just nope, you just can't talk about those things. We're Apple.
I have a feeling Relapse is gonna get like denied. If I would ever put it on the store.
Once you work out those glitches.
Yeah.
So you guys do know there's a Unity contest going on right now, right?
No.
It's due in 7 days. So you have 7 days to make something to get it in by April 15th.
A Unity contest?
Yeah. It's been going on for a month and a half. The topic is do no harm. So like I was instantly out. Like I thought they were gonna announce like zombies, ninjas, and aliens or like something as the topic. But it's like
I don't think I've ever made a game where you don't hurt something.
right.
Yeah.
Even gravity dies a lot, so it's like that's out. Like so I thought, okay, well I could do a tower defense game. Oh wait, no, you can't do tower defense because it's violent.
It's like Viva Pinata? Wait, no, that doesn't work either. You can whack them with shovels. Dang it.
And then I was like, all right, well I could go in intentionally like to disqualify myself. So like, what if I submitted Grand Theft Auto? And it's like, all right. And it's like, oh no, wait. Let's do Grand Theft Auto, but you're a pacifist, so you don't do anything. Like, insane stuff is going on everywhere around you, right? But it's like, this lady's like, help me. No, I can't. Do no harm.
Yeah.
The whole point of the game is to avoid conflict.
Right.
So all the
Somebody's
NPCs
getting
are the
shot in
crazy
that alley.
ones.
Run for it.
That'd be funny. But do you know? Because I saw a forum or a thread on the OUYA forums, and they were talking about basically search features within the OUYA store, and I was thinking that could be like a really big deal with the OUYA store, depending on like how the search features are handled, like things like I'm feeling lucky, user lists. I guess those would be like the really big ones, and like just things along those lines that would make sure that traffic is always flowing in all directions, as opposed to like just directing towards the top best games, and then all the other ones just get washed over. Like kind of like I was talking earlier in another stream, how I was thinking the OUYA store would work best if it were treated like YouTube treats videos, except just video games instead of videos. So like nobody gets mad at people for uploading YouTube videos that aren't, you know, super high-end, super quality video. Like people just accept the fact that there's many videos on YouTube. Like I was thinking the OUYA store, if there was ways of implementing it and making it so that video games are treated like equivalently.
Right. Gundam style.
Yeah. Of course, like there'd always be the big popular ones. I mean, I think that's the easy part, is coming up with making sure that the big games, you know, for people who don't want to explore the, you know, hobbyist games and the, you know, not as big games, then they don't have to. But I'm thinking I don't know.
Are we getting into the sandbox area again? Like,
yeah, I guess that would be more towards sandbox. I mean, right? There's only 80 games in sandbox right now.
Yeah, I guess so. I'll look at Farm Invasion. I wonder what that is.
Well, I guess for the time being, since the number of games on the OUYA is so low, that it's not, you know, those features don't need to be in there right now. But I think like once the flood of apps comes in, it'll need some sort of, not control, but
Right. Well, and it's curating, right? Because if this was like 61,000 to 8,000, you know, that's actually a pretty decent.
I assume this is
list.
a placeholder interface.
Right.
Well, hopefully, you know, like when a new game goes into the sandbox, it'll go into position 1 and push everything back, so that always the new games get put in the front of the line. You know,
yeah.
because like
Kinda like
further,
Steam Greenlight,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah, so like the longer you're there, you should have gotten enough likes to get out, right? So it should just push you to the back as new games come through. Instead of, oh, it just launched a new game and it's in place 51,000.
Right. I mean,
everybody's going to see that.
Yeah, that would definitely be useful, and I think should definitely, like, a recently added, basically, should be in there right away. But, like, once the thing about recently added lists is, like, everyone will look at the top 20 recently added or something like that, and, it also comes down to a matter of how long are you going to stay inside that list before you get pushed off of that list.
Right.
Like, I think
Right.
eventually the OUYA, if it gets big, you'll get pushed off that list really quickly.
Right. That's what happens with Steam Greenlight, right? After the first month, you drop off page 1 and then you go into non-existence. Like,
right.
Mm-hmm.
It's either get your grade
I suppose
month 1 or you're screwed.
yeah, you get picked up in your first month or you're dead.
Yeah.
I suppose it depends, how long it's going to take for an OUYA game to actually get out of the sandbox. Like how many likes does it actually take? Is it going to take like after a month if your game is still there and it has like 20 likes and you're still not out of there? Then yeah, that's a problem, right?
I mean, what else? They could also just like after a month remove it and you have to resubmit it if you don't get enough likes and you have to keep dropping it in, and that keeps everybody fresh.
That's true.
I guess then games that get forgotten about or given up on just disappear. I guess that would be okay, but I was kind of hoping that like the sandbox would be like, being in the sandbox and not getting out of the sandbox wouldn't be a bad thing. It's just, you can still do everything you want to do. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm hoping that it kind of turns into somewhat of a social thing where the devs will be able to talk with the players and devs will be able to talk with other devs, and like the devs and players will just kind of mix and it'll be a blurry line and it won't necessarily be like people are divided. I don't know. Just hoping that there can be a social aspect to make sure that traffic is spread evenly.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know if the OUYA should be. I think like one problem with the iPhone is that it's not like it's fun being on the iPhone store. It sucks being on the iPhone store. It's a terrible experience. I hated being on the iPhone store. So, I think the problem with the iPhone is that everybody. Like, at first, the iPhone App Store definitely was a gold rush back in, like, 2008 or whatever. So it was a gold rush.
But now there's 300,000 games, and Steve Jobs would come back as a zombie, and he'd be like, and we have 800,000 games here.
Yeah.
Every time we launch a new title, you can't even find it because there's so many. It's totally saturated, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And I think it also has affected a lot in the way that the developers are encouraged to develop their games. Like in the iPhone store, since it was such a gold rush, there's such an emphasis on making money off of the apps and not very much emphasis on having fun with playing the games.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping the OUYA that people won't necessarily get it just because, like, they want to make money. Like, I don't know. I don't think the OUYA is going to be a gold rush at first, at least. Maybe eventually it will be, or maybe it won't be. But I think games will be better if people get on the OUYA because they want to be on the OUYA and they want that fun experience. And just the big ones that, like, I mean, because it's so easy to make your game for OUYA, people will like port their game to the OUYA and not expect it to make the majority of their sales. Like if they're trying to make a living off of indie games, they'd make their living off of the PC, Mac, and Linux version, or I don't know. They're just like,
right. Well, hopefully it's not going to be known for the indies, right? Because all the indies are going to flock to OUYA, right? Because I've talked about this before. It's $50,000 in licensing per title when you go on Xbox and PlayStation.
And a couple extra if you want to release a patch.
Right.
Wait, it's $50,000 to get your game on an Xbox?
Yeah,
right.
for the developer kit.
Right. What? Okay, so you have
Supposedly,
certification. Yeah. Go ahead.
supposedly the PlayStation one, they were saying that they want to get more indie devs and stuff on the PlayStation, and if you're considered an indie dev, then chances are they'll probably just waive that fee for you.
No, see, you still have to pay for your Unity license, which is 40 grand. So,
40 grand?
so even if they had a free tool set, I mean, I don't know what the exact number is, but so typically what happens is, sure, it's 50 grand or whatever, and so basically you're at the mercy still of the publisher. You go to the publisher, you're like, I want to publish this game, it looks good, you do the pitch, they're like, okay, let's do it,
Right.
pay up, and then you have to be like, okay, you have to get the publisher to, they'll front the money to cover the burden, right? They'll say, okay, we'll
Right,
give
yeah.
you, and that's even before you started, right? That's
Crazy.
like when you publish on those platforms, you can't even get your Unity license until you're approved. But how do you get
Wow.
approved until
If you don't have. Yeah.
Right.
So that's
So
only
how-
if you want to use Unity on Xbox, but if you want to use like
Yeah.
XNA on Xbox, you don't have to pay anything?
Well, XNA is dead. Well, XNA died 2 years ago. It's no longer. There's not going to be an XNA 5. It's dead.
Okay.
You can do XNA, but would you spend your time in something that's already discontinued?
Right.
I don't know.
Mhm. Crazy.
Well, I mean, Xbox is probably going to create something equivalent, just newer and better, and call it something else.
Yeah, it's called 50K. You get the you pay your money, right, and you get a whole SDK. It's the Xbox SDK, and
It's called the Windows 8 store.
Huh.
no that's entirely different. So that's a different
Yeah,
cost.
I know.
And yeah,
How much
even
is
with
that one? Or how much is
it's-
it going to be?
It's way cheaper, and you pay monthly. I
What?
can't get
For the-
over that.
for
It's
the
got
year?
like a monthly
plugin?
subscription. It's like, you've done iOS development, and it's already a pain in the neck once a year when you have to update your provisioning profile. Imagine doing that once a month. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I signed up for the Windows 8 store stuff, and it was like $100, and then they had a promotion basically that if you sign up within a certain amount of time, they basically refund you back like $85 or something like that.
Oh, that's nice.
So, but that was like a 1 year kind of thing. So,
See, one thing about like a yearly or monthly fee for licenses that I really hate is, like, for me, when I was on the iOS store, my iOS game, I like made it and I tried to sell it. It didn't work out, and I was like, well, I still kind of like the game, and I want to just release it for free so that people who want to play it can play it, or that I can tell people like, oh, you have an iPhone? I have a game for iPhone. Go download it. It's free. But it's not like it's worth it for me to pay $100 a year in order to just be able to say like, oh yeah, I have a game up on an iPhone, and yeah, it's free. You can go download it. Like, I was kind of looking forward to, being in that situation with the OUYA, being able to like upload a game to it and just being able to say like, oh yeah, that game will be on OUYA. It doesn't cost me anything to put it on OUYA. It's just I put it on OUYA. It will just be there now.
Right.
Mhm.
So let's say you published a game on iOS, right? And do you have to keep paying $100 a year to keep the game on there?
Mm-hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
so they'll take it off if you like
yeah.
your bribe money.
Yep.
Yep, and I had no reason to pay that $100 a year because I knew that I wasn't going to make the money back.
Right, because the market's saturated. You're not selling as many games, and then your effort is wasted.
Mm-hmm.
So
I have
what
a few
happens with
games
people
on
that?
iOS, but
What if people
mean-
bought that game and then you get taken down? They can't download it anymore, and they pay
yeah,
for
that's
it.
right.
Like,
Right, they'll still have it, but I think
so
they
you have
just
people with hatchets outside your office. Like, I bought your turkey gobbler game and it didn't sell very well. I bought my copy. You die.
yeah, basically.
Yeah, pretty much.
That seems like a bad customer experience.
Yeah, I remember like for the longest time, like Unity games, or not for the longest time, but I mean, like there was like a certain part where like Unity 3.5 wouldn't work with like iOS 4. So like during the whole iOS 4, my game just didn't work, and then it started working again. It was like it was something weird like that.
No, I had that problem. So I was doing stuff for Kabam, and like there'd be a Xcode update once a month, right? And for whatever reason, the Unity publish process would break once a month every time they release another Xcode update. It's like, but you see on your iPad or whatever, you see, oh, there's a new iOS 6 update. I can click on that, and it's like, wait a minute, I'm screwed. So just don't click the button. Don't upgrade. But then, you have to keep.
Hey Tim, so I threw a new version of Whitewater there with like the on resume, on pause calls, and hopefully the keyboard piece works for the to name your characters.
How do you get the OUYA like keyboard up and running? Like if you were to click on like an input, like how do you get it to pop up?
I just did the same
keyboard?
call. Yeah, I just did the call for the on-screen keyboard, same as you would for iOS or Android.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, the mouse pads on the controllers, are those going to be like the same mouse input that just like feeds into the same mouse input from every controller? Or are you going to be able to do like controller 3 mouse? I assume they would be like having 2 mice plugged into a computer at once.
There's only one mouse. So even though you have like, I've got 4 controllers and they're all considered the same input.mouse position. You can't distinguish between. But I mean, again, that's going to be an update, right? Because the new controller update is supposed to treat your touchpad. Well, it's supposed to treat your trackpad as a touchpad. So you'll get like relative positioning instead of like absolute positioning. So you can do swipe gestures and stuff. It's not there yet, but eventually,
That's what I'm waiting for.
And then you just throw in the finger gestures library, and then bam, you just subscribe to your static 3-finger touch, 10-finger touch, swipe left, move, drag, whatever, and then you can throw it in like 2 seconds.
I thought the OUYA touchpad was only 1 touch. Or could only physically register 1 touch.
Well, I've got fat fingers, so I can only fit 2 fingers on anyways, but...
So it'll do swipes and like exactly like as if it was a mouse, basically.
Yeah, it would be cool if it would detect 2 touches though, because then you could put 1 finger down and tap like the Mac keyboard for a second mouse click or something.
I wonder if there will be a way to turn the controller mice pads off. Like if I want to have 3 OUYA controllers and then 1 player uses mouse and keyboard. Like I don't want like the other players to be able to like touch the pad and screw up the mouse and keyboard player.
True.
I might have to just leave it in there and just be like, you know what? Sucks to have mouse and keyboard.
Right. The same thing happens on Xbox, right? Like my 2-year-old can pick up like the other controller that's not on, that's sitting there, power it on, and hit the system button. And in the middle of the game, you've got Halo going, you're getting shot at. Boom. Oh, there's the profile. Do you want to log in? And it blocks you. And it's just keep pressing that. It's going.
You can screw up other players no matter what.
Right. Same thing with the Kinect games, right? Kinect Star Wars. You're like forced power and cutting people up into bits, and then your kid runs in front of the TV and like is screwing up your character. They have a bunch of YouTube videos like that of people like happily doing Kinect stuff, and then some moron runs in front of them and is screwing up their character.
It's definitely Tim's like, God damn it!
I saw a funny video where like it like started the video and it said like we've waited many years and finally the future of motion gaming is here. And then they just show a whole bunch of people like kicking each other and like throwing their remotes at TVs and like somebody kicked their cat.
There's that one where somebody's exercising and they kick their cat like just at the right time. It was awful. Like in midair. Yeah, cats are the way to promote your game. Just throw some cats in there.
I had a bunch of tutorials where the background of my tutorials was a cat.
You definitely got mad likes on that.
You have to do an A/B test right there. Like, here's a video of just the feature A, and then you have a feature. I'm talking about feature A, but the cat walks by in the video, and it gets 1,000 times more views.
Oh yeah, another thing about speaking about like just OUYA marketing and how, you know, the OUYA system itself is going and YouTube videos. I just uploaded a video where I kind of like just talked about my thoughts on OUYA and like what I thought would be cool about the OUYA, and I got so many people like acting as if I attacked Xbox and PS4 and like physically attacked. Like people were like so like, how dare you think that OUYA and Xbox can coexist? Like people are defensive. Like they really think that only one system should be allowed to live.
You should do you should get like an old Xbox or whatever that doesn't work and do a video like in Office Space, you know, when they destroy the computer with the back and stuff.
The
and
printer,
you just do like, yeah. OUYA's better.
Update?
And they just show. Boom, boom.
Yeah, that's the most ridiculous thing. $30,000 for an update. Like,
yeah, it's
do they not like it's as if they've never made a game before, but you know they have because they're Microsoft.
No, it's okay. So it's this, right? It's oh my gosh, it's like a loan. If the publisher is already paying you, they paid $40,000 for your license and your certification, right? And then they're like, okay, and it costs $30,000 for an update. In the end, you end up Microsoft makes money selling your game, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they make
get
money on
30%.
you because you're busy paying off your loan that the Microsoft gave you. So it's a win-win. It's like,
yeah. So
I can't imagine making a game that will sell over, well, what, 40,000 for the original license and then 30,000 for any updates. So that's 70,000. I don't think I'll ever make, well, not anytime soon will I ever make a game that makes $70,000.
in profit to break even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Plus the 30% that Microsoft would take, I assume, right?
And the 30% for taxes, right?
Wait, 30% to Microsoft and 30% for taxes?
Well, any income you make, right, as an independent or whatever, you pay 30% in taxes, right?
Oh. I didn't do that for my last game, but then again, I only made like $60, so I don't think it mattered.
Well, you need to have one game that just has a major loss, and then and then one with a major profit, and then it balances out.
That wouldn't be too hard.
What is that? What do they call that? Pro forma debt, something like that.
All right, hold on, guys. I'm gonna go eat dinner really quickly, and I'll be back.
All right.
Okay, so I had installed the Whitewater thing.
Woo. Hey, I ordered an
wait to get my
OTG
OUYA.
cable.
OTG?
Yeah. You know, to hook up a USB to a Nexus 7, basically.
Oh,
Because I
an
have a
adapter?
wired controller. Yeah.
You need
Well, I
a special
ordered
connection
one.
for that?
Yeah, because the Nexus 7 only has like a mini USB, and the regular Xbox 360 controller has a full-size USB, so you need like a go-between, basically.
Okay. Wouldn't you just need a micro
wired
USB to female USB adapter? And that's only like $5 on Newegg or something like that.
Yeah, that's basically what it is. There is just called an
okay.
OTG. I don't know why, on the go cable
Oh.
adapter. But yeah, it was only like $2 or something like that. So
Oh, okay. I was under the impression that you got like a Apple style product where it's like $50 for this
oh no,
stupid little piece of plastic that costs them like 2 cents to make.
no.
And it's like, really, you couldn't just put like a display port or just something normal on the back of the Mac? You have to make sure it
Yeah.
looks all nice and clean, even though it's the back of the Mac. So many things
And it's
about
connection
Apple I hate.
that nobody else has, right? Connection nobody else has, so they have to upgrade to this $50 adapter.
Right.
And then the next version it's slightly different, so then you have to upgrade again.
I know. I've personally run into that problem. I hate that so much because it looks the same too. So you go
Yeah.
to plug it in and then it just doesn't fit. And you're like, what? Then you read on the forums and then like rage.
Yeah. Yeah.
Man,
Yeah,
Apple.
speaking of plugging stuff in, I accidentally got the polarity backwards on my boss's printer one time back in like 1998, something like that. And the thing like instantly caught on fire. Like I went down to Radio Shack and they're like, "Oh yeah, you just need this," and da da da, and I had said something stupid like, "Oh yeah, we'll just try this out. If it's the wrong adapter, it's not your fault or whatever." And then it caught on fire. And it's like, well, unless it catches on fire.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like
Also,
all night.
why do Apple mice and keyboards not have a sync button on them?
Just to make it a pain in the neck, because you have to unpair it on the device to pair it on another one. So if your wireless Mac keyboard is paired with your laptop and you lose your laptop, you might as well just buy a new keyboard because you're not gonna get it to pair with anything else.
Yeah, I've had such problems with that. Like I've had moments where I was trying to synchronize the mouse with the Mac, and then on the Mac it would say, "Click here to synchronize the mouse," and I was just so angry at that.
Hey,
So you have no player in there, huh?
yeah, he got out, ran behind that tree, and he's doing something. I don't.
Yeah.
Wait, really?
Wow. Wow, that's messed up.
Huh. I wonder if it's a glitch with like switching between having the player and the custom or the character customization screen and the gameplay screen. I wonder if it's the same character.
Well, what I'm doing is basically when you customize your character, I save the variables kind of thing, and when this scene loads, it loads up what it needs. But
I didn't change anything, and so maybe you loaded as like -1 instead, and now it's
yeah, maybe.
good old serialization stuff.
Oh yeah, with my controller input system, I ended up implementing like a fail-safe feature for if you're on PC, Mac, and Linux, or maybe it's just limited to just the Unity editor. I'm not sure, but when you unplug and replug back in a controller, I know that when you're in the Unity editor, when you like unplug player 1 and then plug it back in, that controller would now be player 3. So you'd have player 2, player 3, and then player 1 is missing. But then when you call certain functions like get joystick names, it still just gives you 2 joysticks, so it won't say like blank or anything like that.
Right.
So I ended up creating... Oh wait, sorry.
That was something we covered at the beginning. Yeah, it reindexes them.
Yeah, I think I heard that for OUYA. It I'm trying to remember what I heard that it said that it did exactly. Something about how like when you plug in when you plug a controller back in, it will like you said, reindex. I guess you said it better than me.
But that's all in the Unity API stuff. I don't have any control over fixing the mapping. But we are shipping some OUYA consoles to the Unity people, and so specifically the guy that does Android and input and stuff. So it they're not updating 3.5.7 anymore, but there will be like a 4. Whatever update that possibly addresses the stuff.
That would be cool. Because what I did to fix it was I created a variable called fake controller inside of my script where like it's kind of like fake user inside of Blender or I don't know any other systems that use a fake user, but I created like instead of like because what it does is it picks up the name of the controller, and so instead of saying like Xbox 360 controller, it says fake controller, and then just when you like, so you can still play the game and you won't lose your saves or anything, but when you restart the game, your controls will be all skewed up and you'll have to redo them.
Okay, so here's one way to work around it too. I noticed the live button got unclicked again. What the heck? Okay, when you pair your controller and you hit Y and you go into your controller. Oh, dang it. I probably didn't want to do that. Anyways, if you use your mouse to hit this little settings button thing over here, you can rename your controller so that they have unique names. And then if you base it based on your joystick name that way, that's one way to do it. But
so that would be up to the player then, wouldn't it?
yeah, the player would have to do that.
Okay. So it sounds like my system would still work then, using this. Like if they do decide to rename it, like OUYA controller 1, OUYA controller 2, or whatever. Or
yeah, well, they might change the name and it doesn't work at all because we depend on the device name to figure out how to handle it, right? So
well, it would start over. It would like look at like if you rename it Joe's controller, then it will look at it and apply, like it'll go through and be like, okay, well, wait, actually, if it's called Joe's controller, then it won't detect that it's an OUYA controller, will it?
Right.
You could have it at the start so that you show all the available controllers, and each user picks which controller they want to use, kind of thing, like in your game if you wanted to do it that way.
Right. I was thinking about having certain times when you can sign in a player, and then whatever controller you want to sign in next during that time, you would just hit anything on that controller.
Right. Or if you detect that one was disconnected, everybody's like, okay, player 1 press O, player 2 press O, and then just do it that way.
Yeah, that's a good idea. I was hoping to make a system so that when you unplug it, a menu would pop up and say, like, you lost player 3, and then, like, please plug back in player 3 controller. And then I was thinking it'd be fun to have, like, an anonymous vote menu for, like, so that you could vote to leave that player behind.
Right.
Like, piss off other players, like, if they didn't plug back in on time.
Press the O to let him in. Press A to boot the player.
Yeah.
And then, by the way, it just pop up, while this pause menu is open, you died 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, 6 times. Do you want to boot the player now? 10.
That would be funny.
So when you loaded that level, Tim, did you load like the river number 2, or did you still load the river number 1?
Yeah, I'll try it again.
And just because the river number 2 isn't set up at all, so it might just be.
Has anybody tried to install the OUYA drivers on Windows 8?
What's Windows 8?
Make fun, guys. Make fun. It's okay.
Okay, so I'm going to do practice, right?
Yeah.
For serious. Has anybody tried it?
No, I don't have Windows 7.
I got Windows 8. What was it?
Have you tried to install the drivers for OUYA?
No, I don't have an OUYA.
Ah, damn it.
What do you mean by drivers? Like when you plug your OUYA into the computer via USB?
Yeah.
Oh, so can you still like explore all the files from inside the OUYA hard drive? Is that how it would work?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Alright, well, I'm feeling courageous, so it's going down.
Right.
Can you test the name thing?
Okay. Kevin, all you have to do is install the Google USB driver, and then do the little INF hack, and then
Alright,
browse to your driver.
I was on AndroidPolice.com
worked just fine.
or whatever.
Yeah, awesome.
I was on AndroidPolice.com or whatever, and they released Windows 8 universal ADB drivers. Just kind of wondering if like ADB didn't work with Windows 7, and now they
Right.
did it.
Well, they're not signed, so that could be a problem. You have to do the has disk thing, and then say, "Oh, yeah, install," even though it's not signed.
I want to play this river game. I want to see how it is. Yeah. A universal ADB driver for Windows that actually works on Windows 8.
This looks like a pretty good on-screen keyboard. This is the first time I've seen it.
I still like Oliver's better.
What was that one like?
It's like a round.
Oh, you didn't use the on-screen keyboard.txt, so it didn't actually take the input.
Oh. Okay. Good to know.
He's like, I'm getting on that right now.
So if you go to the character thing and you hit over, it should go back to no player name or what or whatever it says.
It's still empty. Yeah, you gotta check string is null or empty.
Damn it. Okay. All right.
So I was doing something kind of cool. I got this other project to work on. Yeah, it was a busy weekend. All right. The build is just a modest 170 megabyte APK.
He has Gravy on OUYA.
No, this is Sector 13.
I saw the Gravy logo though.
Wait, Kevin, shouldn't you be able to get Gravy now?
Not on OUYA.
Really?
Oh,
not
yeah,
on
maybe
the-
we should.
Oh,
maybe
it's
we
not
should-
on the OUYA store yet? Or OUYA Sandbox?
No, not yet. Oh, is this Sector 13?
Yeah.
Is it?
Oh, I have to use the right controller. Hang on.
Were you linking a video of this game in all of those emails that you were forwarding recently?
Yeah. I
Okay.
know. Guilty.
Guilty.
Well, that's how I found out about this game. I found it interesting because I heard I figured since you put it in that email that they were sending it to OUYA and they had like so many asteroids going on that it was promising that the OUYA could.
It has to be optimized. But
it's
here's a
still
primary example. Here's a primary example of I don't even know what controller it's mapped to. Here we go. Oh, it's my Xbox controller. There we go. Because I have 5 plugged in. So I mean, it's playable, but if you have a game or whatever, you run into the issue initially where like you have to fix the performance and stuff and whatever. But for the most
that's what
part,
I'm
like,
worried about Relapse for. Everything right now is like DirectX 11.
Oh wow.
I was like, oh man, I'm
Hey.
screwed.
Yeah, you're gonna have to optimize that.
So
well,
I'm just
I can actually get it to 40 frames a second if I use my new tool thing. So here's a primary example of like, okay, getting crappy frame rate and it's time to turn stuff off or change. Oh, I
Can
got
you
the
turn
shader
stuff
wrong.
off like mid-game?
Yeah, that's the whole point.
Oh, and it'll work.
So it's running on the OUYA and I can manipulate the scene. Like, who else can do that?
Oh man, that's awesome.
Yeah, looks good.
I know
how
that-
can you turn things on and off if new things are being created all the time, though?
I just request the scene again and I get the new stuff.
Oh, okay.
It's a button on there. So that's this guy.
Oh man, the new Google Play Store looks awesome.
Okay, so you're gonna get this evaluation key, whatever, and then you just go to that page. Okay, and you're like, okay, here's my key. Blah, and voila, it's unlocked. Isn't that awesome? Okay. And then create host. Oh, I probably have it open on another Unity.
You have Unity
Yeah, here we
3
go.
and Unity 4 on your computer?
Yeah. You just
That's what I
install
did
them to
too.
different directories.
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing. You kind of need to do that to transfer between Unity 3 to Unity 4.
Yeah, so I have this other product idea. So basically, you output like a shell, like just this client, to an empty scene, just this one thing in there. And then like you just like are creating stuff in your scene and it's just copying it to the OUYA. It's like completely bypassing the Polish process altogether. You just like build your scene and watch the FPS go up as you add models and
So it's like the inverse of what you have currently.
yeah, it's a paradigm shift. But make the game, publish it. It's publish the game, then make it.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay, so
I guess
can
that would be
search-
that would be really useful to like get like directly like each component, how much processing power it's taking, like on its own. One idea that I came up with for performance optimization in my game, since I have so many rigid bodies and all the bullets are rigid bodies, was to just on my PC turn the fixed time step. I made it like a absurdly small number to like purposefully make the game lag out when there's too many objects on the screen, and then I just plan on basing my gameplay off of that, and then once I actually export to the OUYA, then I'll change it to a fixed time step that's more reasonable and closer to 30 frames a second, as opposed to right now it's like at the equivalent of like 200 frames a second or something like that.
You know that scene in 2001 Space Odyssey where it's like, it's shrinking? I'm going to delete this planet.
That's an actual object. It's not just in the skybox.
It's just a different, yeah. Well, it's, yeah, use the Unity skybox and have a big performance set, or you just like put the skybox on a sphere in your scene and render it with a second camera with no depth, and it's way faster.
Really? Huh. That's actually what I did before my last FPS game,
Yeah.
or first-person shooter game. But that was for PC, or for web player, PC, Mac, and Linux. I didn't know the skybox was slow.
Here you go. As I turn off more things, the frame rate's going up higher. Falcon. Oh, that's what I'm flying. I can't turn
Okay,
it off.
Tim, what files am I supposed to mess with? Oh, no, never mind. I got it.
Turn off the OR
Let's
processor.
see this. Okay, you'll need to modify under Android.
See how they're just disappearing live? I think that's so cool. There you go. I just ate the OR processor. Asteroids.
What am I supposed to add to this?
Get rid of the cracked asteroid. The base.
Oh my god, there's so
Station.
many Android devices.
What's your frame rate at now?
Like 3 frames a second,
3
But
a
it's-
second?
right? Well, it's because that ship keeps firing at me and making particles.
Oh.
Each one has a rigid body.
God damn it, ship!
Hmm.
Stop shooting!
Crap, I'm really nervous about the number of rigid bodies in my game.
I can turn off the HUD here is actually a flash component.
Hey, Tim. I'm trying to get this driver to work, but I can't find what it's telling me.
How many rigid bodies are in that scene? Is there any way of you to find out?
I don't know, but there's got to be a lot of them. Because,
Like over 100?
yeah, there's like 20 on the screen every second shooting at me.
Okay. Because I was kind of hoping in my game to have like 100 rigid bodies on the screen.
Well, you're kind of limited to like 200 draw calls, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, damn, serious?
200 draw calls is a good range to be in for the OUYA.
Well, any Android device.
Right.
Oh, I'm gonna have a lot of optimization to do.
I think my draw calls are like in the 300s.
My PC game right now has like 150 alone. And it's very early pre-alpha.
Combined meshes.
I know. I gotta get to it.
No, I crashed it that time.
Okay, hopefully this works. Access is denied? What do you mean access is denied?
Anyway, so that's remotely changing stuff. It'll be cooler, like, I'm going to add a thing where you can, like, write a shader and then see what it looks like on the thing. Like, there's got to be a way to, like, compile it remotely and then just send the compiled shader over.
I guess I don't ever mess with shader code, so I guess I wouldn't use that, but I would use all the other features.
Mm-hmm. So for draw call count, Tim, you said that my game there was running smooth with 4 players, right?
Yeah.
So with 4 players, the draw call count in Unity shows 345.
Oh, okay. And that was running good, you said? Like 30 frames good or 60 frames good?
Do you have a FPS counter? Maybe you should add one in.
I do have one in, but it's just like it might be way up in the corner. It might actually be getting cut off on your screen.
Okay.
But I can make it bigger and change where it is so that you can see it.
Oh, nope, never mind. I get 500 draw calls. I mean, that's not necessarily... Like, when I'm not shooting any guns, I get 91 draw calls.
Well,
or, no, okay, 120. So.
I'll tell you what, I was doing, like, Android prototyping on a phone, and this was back with, like, Froyo or something, and, like, I could get away with, like, 100 draw calls, but then it was wigging out. And then I upgraded to the Galaxy S3 or whatever, and like that was like 250 draw calls, and yeah, I'd have to guess that 350 would be a good range.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Sounds like I'm just gonna have to limit how much the players can shoot. Sounds like that's really my only option.
Okay.
Like
I don't see the frame rate counter anywhere.
No, it should be in like the top left-hand corner, but it's like it's really small and it's only in the river scene, I think. But
Okay.
But yeah, it's way on the edge, so it's probably out of frame. But on the 4-player mode or whatever, you should be able to see it in the other cameras as well.
Yeah, it's 26 frames a second. So
Okay.
you're kind of under. So that's too many draw calls.
And that's for 1 player?
Yeah, one player, 16 frames a second.
What?
And there's no player in there.
You might be getting errors. The errors might be slowing your game down.
Yeah, that too. Here, I'll pop that up.
You know,
Yeah,
if you
it
can
must
make
be
sure that you get your game error free.
Oh yeah, look at that. Direction does not exist. That's not so good.
Yeah, that's what's slowing your game down.
Erection does not exist.
And
Did you
speed.
say erection or direction?
No player, no direction.
Oh yeah, well there's no player, so I guess there'd be no direction. That's strange.
While this is downloading, I'm gonna play some Battlefield.
But you don't, like, when you start the game, you don't make any selections for the character. You just go right through. Is that what
Yeah.
you're doing? Yeah. Okay.
If any of you have Windows 8 and play
Alright.
Steam, get something called Steam Tile. It is amazing.
You said Steam file?
Steam Tile.
Oh.
How are apps gonna work on the OUYA? Is there gonna be a separate store for apps?
It's in the same section. It's just a different intent for an app.
Oh, okay, so it would be like the equivalent of like organizing it by genre. Or what do you mean by intent?
The the intent. The intent either ends with .game for game or .app for app. So it's in the manifest.
But as far as like the users go, or like the players and the consumers, will they be mixed into the same store then?
Yeah, it's all in progress. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
all the software seems like it's in progress with OUYA.
Yeah.
And making a video game console isn't easy. I'm actually really impressed with everything that OUYA's done, and with what you've done.
There's a lot of flaming reviews too, and then there's even flaming reviews for the game stick too, because everybody's like, it was supposed to ship 3 months ago, so it's like they hate you if you don't ship on time, but it's awesome, or they hate you if you ship on time, but more features are coming out in software updates. It's like, come on.
It seems like people would look at like the OUYA company and be like, oh, they aren't like Microsoft or Nintendo that's been around for 20 years. Like, maybe we should give them a break.
Yeah.
Nobody thinks like that. I mean, they came out of nowhere pretty much. They just got kickstarted. $8 million in retrospect isn't that much money. Right. So they're doing a great job with what they got. Like,
and they
look at like Microsoft and like Microsoft Word. Like, they have like 100 people dedicated to just like the menu bar at Microsoft.
Really?
So we're talking like.
Hey, have you seen Microsoft's menu bar? It is incredible.
It's awful, especially who like fire whoever made the ribbon thing, because I hate that.
There's 100 people just for that bar?
We're talking about 30 years of like Word perfect, like the layout, and they change it between 2003 and 2007. Like, word processing hasn't changed at all, and then they do that, and now you can't find the same stuff, and I hate it.
Do you think those 100 people are like really good friends?
No, they hate each other, right? It's Microsoft.
They're really like, we make shit products.
Well, Microsoft has a competitive environment, right? A competitive culture where everything is review-based, and if you sabotage the guy you're working with to make him look bad, you're going to get a better raise because you look better.
Oh, that is terrible.
Hey, Tim, just let me look at that ribbon code for a minute. Put a bunch of nulls.
It's campaign time. I don't know.
Bunch of null reference exceptions.
Hate null reference exceptions. It's like the one error you can get, and it will not like tell you what's actually happening.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you said what is null, and I had a flash of A Night at the Roxbury, but it's like what is null instead of what is left. All right, maybe that's pretty bad. But... dun, 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 dun. All right.
Reference exception. Only programmers would find that song funny.